Hey guys, welcome back. You'll have to excuse the black eye. Someone questioned my theories and I had to, get physical with them. No, I'm just kidding. It's from soccer. I didn't even realize it when it happened, but I went home and apparently there was a dot on my left eye. So, anyways, what I want to really discuss today and question is this idea of a noble lie. Now, someone like Plato discusses this, and I believe his book, The Republic, um, where he talks about Plato's cave. I think it's in The Republic, but he says essentially the people conducting the shadows on the wall, creating the shadows on the wall, which never really talks about who these people are or these beings are. They're essentially performing a noble lie. They're helping people see through the illusion, right, by making it so obvious and in their face, in a sense, that they have to lie to them, because there's this idea that people can't handle the truth. Now, in my opinion, that's a manipulative way of saying, I want to continue holding power, therefore I'm not going to tell you the truth. And of course, these people conducting the shadows on the wall are, these secret societies, right? People that actively work to hide the truth, not rather put it in your face, but work to hide the truth, work to hide the real truth. Because whenever you start seeing truths in the media, kind of like we're seeing now, if you've noticed, with the very much in your face satanic worship, right? The whole symbolism that, of course, recently just happened in the Olympics, and more has been accumulating, whether it's with aliens, right? The whatever revelations or the unveiling of this phenomenon. Disclosure is what it's called. That's what I was looking for. Of this disclosure, which in my opinion I've attributed to getting us closer and closer to the biblical script of Revelations, right? The more disclosure phenomenon happens, the closer we get to this kind of Armageddon scene potentially playing out, because that would essentially be a large part of the truth, which would cause the system that we currently reside in to collapse. And that's really their goal. That's what I'm trying to say here. That's why they're revealing more and more of this kind of old symbolism that they've been worshiping. A lot of this anti-Zionist, excuse me, anti-Zionist agenda, right? Or rather, the Zionist agenda that's being promoted, that's being openly shown, right, with Israel and all that, and right, the attacks happening there. It's this clear phenomenon. Whereas, of course, we've discussed before in the other videos, the opposing party seems to be these Aryans or aliens. But really, they're on the same team, right? Of course, they've done this so many times where they choose the opposing parties, Republican, Democrat, right? And then they decide the victor. It's a selection process, not an election process. And the same thing happens on the world stage, and the same thing happens, quote unquote, spiritually. Now, Plato considers this a sort of noble lie, right? And you get into these kind of like Georgianis that talk about the Zarathustrians and how these philosopher kings created a sort of religious initiation, right? There's a religious veil that the people that can't handle the truth naturally fall into. But really, they're control mechanisms, right? They're these systems of thought that, of course, yeah, people can handle, but it's because they've been structured to do so all their lives. It's not because there's a whole truth out there, but you just can't handle it. You're not good enough. You're not smart enough. It would break you. No, it wouldn't break us. It would break their society that they've created. And this idea of a noble lie, in my opinion, shows a great deal about who Plato really was, even with his allegory of the cave that he's created, considering it a necessary evil that there needs to be these shadow masters, these puppet masters, creating shadows on the wall for us to all sit down there and look at. Well, we wouldn't be sitting down there in the first place if there weren't these shadows. Why are we sitting down here to begin with? Is it rather that these puppet masters were at the entrance of the cave and we were just, kind of wandering around, enjoying ourselves in the real world, and they're like, hey, check out, you want to see something cool? So, you want to see, we actually need some light down here. We can't see. And with your light, we can actually create these shadows too. We can steal a little bit of the fire, put it down here, right? Just like in the allegory, just like in Lord of the Rings with the Eye of Sauron. I believe that's how you say it. It creates the shadows that we live in the world that we live in, the illusions, right? And now we don't remember that there was a cave that we came into. We don't remember there was a black hole we fell into like Alice. And now we're here worshiping these shadows, thinking they are our masters. The shadows, right? Rather the shadow puppets, the shadow masters behind the shadows on the wall, right? The illusions that we see. Because that's really indirectly what they're doing. They offer you this image of whether it's Zeus, of whether it's Jupiter, whether it's whatever gods they tell you, but behind it, it's them. It's the matrix managers, the shadow masters, right? Whether it's the secret societies in the physical form, or these beings incarnating as the gods themselves, or just them living in Elysium, right? The heavenly fields in the upper echelons of this matrix, kind of puppeteering everything in a sort of hierarchical fashion, right? And they, let's say, maintain this control. And we're sold this other noble lie that it's for our spiritual growth. But I feel like that's kind of like going to the gym and working out. Yeah, sure, your muscles will grow. Your body will get better, will be healthier, right? And then we begin attaching our identity, that we are these bodies, these muscles that we so deeply value, right? And hey, maybe you can do that till you're 50, till you're 60, till you're 70 even, You've accumulated this strength and this knowledge down here, this spiritual knowledge, let's say, this spiritual growth. But then what happens at the end of that life? Your muscles get reset, right? Because you die. So you can be, the best bodybuilder in the world till you're 70. And then, your 80s and 90s come along, you start losing all that muscle mass because you simply can't take it anymore. You just can't do the same stuff you could before. And then you die. And then what do you do with all that muscle mass? You don't take it with you. It doesn't go on to the next life. Your body gets reset. You start over as a baby, right? You see the illusion of growth, the illusion of accumulation of knowledge. And you may say, well, no, because the soul is really accumulating our knowledge from past lives. Yet we have no access to that here somehow. We're actually thought to neglect it, to focus purely on the physical, to not worry about those lessons that we learned, even though they may be stored in some sort of databases in this matrix and these planets. For example, the moon seems to be a holder of memory, right? It runs the water holds memory. Yet we have no access to that. We don't have access to the muscles we gain from our workouts. We're forced to do it all over again, go through the same cycle, the same struggles, the same obstacles. But wait a second, I did this game already. I learned how to play this game. I have multiple saved games in this game of different variations that I went through. Why can't I tap into these? Why am I never taught how to tap into these, right? And even if I, let's say, can access these, I didn't come here because I wanted to learn the whole game inside and out. I came here, let's say, because I wanted to experience the game. So then why are you telling me this noble lie that, oh, it's for your benefit, that, we're lying to you, it's for your benefit, so that it doesn't destroy you psychically, it doesn't you know, you're able to function in this lifetime and focus on what really matters. Well, what really matters is my experience, is me having an experience. Wouldn't the experience be better if I knew these things? If I knew, hey, killing someone is bad, don't do that. Or, you know, don't get into a relationship that is traumatic, that, you know, it doesn't serve you. They don't appreciate you. Don't chase people. You know, it's kind of like, why do we have to go through that sort of stuff over and over and over again? And who are you to tell me that it's a noble lie? Because if we just look at Plato himself and Socrates and, you know, his teachers and people before him, Pythagoras, these people were all initiated into these Egyptian mystery schools, Kemet mystery schools. They didn't really get the full knowledge themselves. So how can they tell us, you know, that it's a noble lie when they don't have full access themselves? Not to mention that those schools later became, you know, the typical Masonic initiation rites that they go through, which again is not something that seems to be very much so for their benefit or for our benefit, but rather for the purpose of creating these gatekeepers, again, from the truth. Because the truth seems to be the most important thing. And of course, that makes sense. If you live in an illusion, the truth will set you free. The truth would expose absolutely everything and would give you the power that you already had, because it's a realization, it's a remembrance rather than a learning. So you guys let me know what you think about this noble lie and how, you know, yes, for example, I can't go around telling people certain things because they would have adverse reactions to it, right? They wouldn't be able to handle it. But some people just aren't meant to handle it. They're not programmed to be able to have such quantum jumps. Just like in the movie, you know, They Live. If the guy's trying to make the guy wear the glasses, and he's actively resisting. So yes, there does seem to be a time and a place for it, but I think that should be readily available, not actively concealed, right? Because the fact that he has so much resistance accumulated is an expression rather of the system and already in place, of the conditioning and the programming that has gone into his own personal matrix, his own personal system, that is being then reflected outwards. Which is why he has now the inability to process higher truths, because his whole life he's been conditioned to focus only on his own truth, only on his relative truth, right? He's been told all his life only the color red exists, do not focus on anything else. He's been brainwashed, right? So for you to then go and try to undo all that brainwashing in one sitting, yes, that's not going to work. It's not going to go over well. It would cause psychological damage, and that's really what they may want some people to try and do, right? Because that would further fracture the psyche, further fracture the soul, and the ability for them to connect to their spirit, to their truth, right? It would be a lot to handle. But again, it does not excuse the fact that that's been done to us. That does not mean that we must then fall into these noble lies. So then you guys let me know what you think in regards to how that should be handled, and what that means for you in terms of a noble lie, and what people in, you know, the society really should do, or what they should be exposed to, because in my opinion it's a form of huge manipulation that doesn't happen only here, but again, as you exit the body, as you enter these higher matrix realms where they don't seem to know any better themselves, because we see in NDEs that, you know, people don't learn the full truth right away. They don't realize the full thing. All they really realize is that the earth was some sort of stage, right, as Shakespeare described it, and they were role playing these characters, but then they just fall right back into their own beliefs as they exit, you know, into the astral form, and then they're easily reprogrammed yet again, only to be sent back to the stage, because, well, the show must go on. Alright guys, if you liked the video, give it a like. Let me know in the comments what you thought. Subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Alright, take care. Bye.